I think a lot of people don't want to be bothered by hearing and really listening to other people's perspectives or their experiences.
Is it just that it's more emotionally satisfying to rip into someone with whatever your opinion is than to actually like look into what the facts of things are?
Unfortunately, it is.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Upon Further Review. I'm Kevin Jaxson, a lifelong LA Rams fan. This is my co-host, Noah Blake, actor, comedian, musician.
Lifelong Vikings fan.
Yeah, unfortunately, we review the biggest stories from around the NFL and examine what they mean about the world beyond the field. We tackle football, culture, identity, leadership, and everything in between because it's never just football. So today, Noah,
He said we tackle football.
we tackle football. Today, we'll
Should that be our like cash line?
we tackle football.
I think that's the line.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
We just discovered it.
For our, if we had like a car dealership, that would be like our catchphrase.
For a car dealer,
What's the show called again?
we tackle football.
No, what's the show called?
Upon further review.
Right. I don't have much memory. I think that's okay. Upon further review, we tackle football. There. Now we just made our commercial.
All right, awesome. So today, we're going to introduce the first in our series called Wife Questions. And don't worry, we'll explain it in a second. We're going to reveal my very first 2026 power rankings for whatever those are worth. We're going to discuss a surprising sighting at the USA-Paraguay soccer match at SoFi Stadium. And we are going to finish with a deep dive into outrage culture. Noah,
Kevin.
how you doing this week? Any more stories about players that none of our 4 viewers have ever heard of before?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with that.
All right. I'll always have a story that no one's heard of or cares about. Well, we broke Kevin. Excellent.
Awesome. All right. There's a lot of liquid on this microphone. Does that matter? Really?
I'll take quotes from a porn set for 1,000. Oh, gosh. I'm like the Kate what's her name? Kate McKinnon. I'm like the Kate McKinnon of our podcast. I just try to break people. That's it.
Quotes from a porn set?
Yeah.
I didn't order that pizza.
Yeah. You ruined it.
Damn it!
It was funnier when I said about the wet bike. Yeah, I do have some of you may notice, if you can see in the background here, I've brought a lovely piece of memorabilia. Nothing that can rival Kevin's treasure trove of Ram items. However, that Viking jacket has a lot of history, as a matter of fact. A Viking Letterman jacket, you'll see, you can't get that anymore. It's a collector's item. I was gifted many, many years ago playoff tickets to go see Kevin, Rams, and the Vikings.
Oh my God.
Play at the former Metrodome, which the
Metrodome. Oh yeah, the one that it eventually popped, right?
Yes, yes. So one morning I got it was Christmas. I was, I don't know, 20 years old or whatever. We were doing Christmas at my dad's house. And he got me, he knew a guy with the Rams. And so he said, "You're getting on a plane tonight. You're going to the playoff game tomorrow." And I was like, whoa, what? Holy shit. And I had just gotten that jacket like a year ago. And it was cold. It was freezing cold. So I go to Minnesota.
Yeah, I imagine that jacket didn't help too much then.
It was, no, I wore 9 layers under it. I go to Minnesota, and because the tickets were given to us by like the Rams traveling secretary or whatever, I'm sitting in like this 100% Ram section in Minnesota, and I've got the one Vikings jacket on.
All right, wait a sec. I want everybody to know we have proof that there actually are Rams fans who travel.
Well, these might have all been like people associated with the team for all I know. I think they probably were.
Okay, so there are no Rams fans who travel.
Well, yeah, no, but this is literally like, 60, 80 deep of just yellow Rams jerseys and that. Now, of course, every time Vikings did something good, I'm jumping up and screaming, and all the Viking fans around are like, "Yeah, bro!" I was kind of a hero. Now, I believe the Vikings won that game. if I'm not mistaken. And this was at a time when they had the new version of the Purple People Eaters.
Wow.
This was when they had that team that was like #1 defense for years with Chris Dolman
Oh yeah.
and what was
So this is a little bit later.
Yeah, Chris Dolman.
So we're not quite 50 years ago.
No. This is 20, 30 years ago. It was whenever the Vikings were around.
So we're almost into this.
This moves you forward in time. Henry Thomas, John Randall, Keith Millard. I mean, these guys were just absolute fierce.
And for those of you who don't care, these were actually really good players.
Not just really. Keith Millard was Defensive Player of the Year that year, actually. So anyway, after the game, I go out to where they tell me the Viking players are going to come out. And it's fucking snowing. It's cold as shit. And I'm standing there with my Viking jacket on. And a couple Vikings come out. And I'm like, hey, I traveled from LA to watch this game. And they were really cool. I got Henry Thomas. I got Chris Dolman. And Keith Millard.
Wow.
Now, Keith Millard has...
Did you have like a thanks Mean Joe moment?
Pretty close. Pretty close. Keith Millard has 2 beers in his hands. 2 long necks. And I go, excuse me, Keith, I came here from Los Angeles. When you sign my jacket? He's like, yeah, sure, bro. Walks over, takes the 2 long necks, puts them in his mouth, bites down on them to hold them, signs my jacket, grabs his beers, and on his way. Now, I've seen people put a beer in their mouth, but not 2 long necks in like 30 below zero. He doesn't blink. So
Noah's Heroes, everybody.
they had no Instagram was, but those signatures are still on that jacket. It is near and dear to my heart. It is not nearly as pristine as any of Kevin's, multi-billion-dollar collection,
Oh my God.
but it's pretty cool. So that's my jacket story.
Awesome. Yeah.
People have to know those guys. Dolman and Blood. Those fellow family.
I know. By the way, it never even occurred to me that when you get stuff like this, like a lot of people don't wear it, right? We got my nephew a Messi jersey because he's a huge soccer fan, right?
Oh, Messi.
Oh my God, no, we're cutting that. And he framed it, right?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, that's what people do.
Yeah. This one I've actually never worn because it doesn't fit me, but I wear the Kurt Warner one all the time. And finally someone was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it never even occurred to me, but there you have it.
That's how rich Kevin is. It didn't even occur to him. A normal person would have that thing locked away, sealed with like special lights on it in a room. Dude, do you want to see my Kurt Warner signed jersey?
I am praying. I'm really praying this doesn't become a recurring theme, but I'm afraid it's gonna.
Of course it will. Of course it will.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a perfect transition to our first ever.
2 things before we transition in. But I am picking up a lot of gum chewing.
Oh, you should get that stuff.
Just so you know, no.
People will hate that.
It's horrible. What?
It's horrible for audio. Yeah, you can't get it out. There's no way you can.
Yeah. You can't cut this out.
You gotta go. Gum's gotta go.
What are you saying?
I don't have a lot of. What do you call them? But gum. You can't have gum in your mouth for a podcast.
I had gum in my mouth the whole last podcast.
But you weren't chewing it.
I was.
Well, then you can't chew it.
Yeah, we're picking it up a lot more this time. I don't know why exactly, but
Maybe I'm closer to the mic. Maybe I'm just louder today. Maybe I am more awake today.
You think you could be out for another 45 minutes?
Do you think you could do without your right hand? Hit the next 45.
I'm gonna have to jerk off. You can get rid of the gum. Come on, man. I believe in you. I believe in you.
I will try not to chew it, I promise.
No, just get rid of it. You won't be able to do it, and they'll have to keep stopping.
All right.
Because you're chewing it.
Is this in the 2-shot? If I put it right there?
Yes.
Have it right here.
oh yes.
Right there, so everyone can see my gum. Perfect. Awesome. So if I start getting a little weird, a little angry in about 30 minutes, he'll know why.
It's because he doesn't have this nicotine go to constantly. All right.
Exactly. All right.
So Zoom casting of pods.
Yes, let's resume the cat.
Did you order
of this
the
pod. Wait, I think we did we?
How do you think?
Let me see.
He thinks.
Yep, it's in the works. They didn't even cancel it this time.
Well, you asked Charlie what kind of donut he wanted. You didn't even look at me.
Well, because I just reordered the ones from last time because I figured you wanted the same
I don't
ones.
even know what those ones were. I think
Do you want me to check?
Hey, Kevin just made an executive donut decision.
I did.
Overrode all of this. All right, I'm good with it.
Nope.
I'll buy into it.
Nope. Now we're going to check.
Board.
We're going to check.
I'm on board.
Let me see. I
Is it
didn't
an apple firm?
view my order details. No, it's not out.
Or is it
It's a lemon poppy seed.
Okay. That's a
Lemon poppy seed. That's all you got.
That's it?
Yeah.
Lemon poppy seed muffin?
Donut.
Oh, I don't think there's such a thing, but I will eat that lemon poppy seed thing.
And then we got 2 chocolate sprinkles. I also got you salted caramel, but
Holy shit.
they removed it because they don't have them. This place sucks.
They removed it?
Yeah. I'm not even going to say the name of this place, but if I was the type who would give bad online reviews, I would give this place a bad online review. This is the second time.
Do you think these donuts are yummy or yummy?
It's not yum yum donut.
Okay. Are they something you can do?
They better rock, man. These donuts, when we finally get them, better be the best fucking donuts ever.
I want to
Jesus.
I want to put a small wager that I believe the lemon poppy seed thing when it arrives will in fact be a muffin, which I'm good at.
What do you think? $5?
I never heard of a lemon poppy seed donut.
Would you wager $5?
No, not
And $1?
yes, it's all.
How about a Diet Coke? One of my Diet Coke.
You know what? If they're yours, let's wager a case.
All right, let's do it. Oh my God, have you ever heard the Jim Brewer? Have you ever heard the Jim Brewer bit about the Great Adventure Safari Park?
Oh yeah, a long.
Asked him about a case of Pepsi. Oh, if you got a case of Pepsi, then you can just go round and round. That is the funniest bit ever.
I don't remember that, but
Oh my God. Just go to YouTube and type in Jim Brewer Great Adventure Safari Park. It's the funniest bit ever.
will do.
All right. So we're going to now do the first in our series called Wife Questions.
I vehemently am against this.
He's not at all. He's not at all. He's just sending.
This is like our man cave lair. This is the one moment in my life that I don't have to ask my wife questions. All I do is ask my wife, "Oh, that honey, do you know where that thing is? Honey, can I put this here? Hey, do you mind if we do this? Honey,
No.
mommy, honey, may I? Can I? Will you? Did I?
You've misunderstood the concept here. It's not questions you ask your wife.
I don't care. Wives are involved, and I don't like it."
All right. So I want a little bit of context here. This was actually not my idea. This was my wife's. All right. This was my wife's idea. And my wife is the CEO of a healthcare provider here in Southern California. She's a very, very progressive woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she thought this would be a fun concept and a fun title to talk about things that maybe the casual fan doesn't know.
Right.
What are questions that maybe the casual fan doesn't know and they'd like answered? Now, she gave me a whole list, but today we're just going to start with a really easy one. Her question...
Casual fan being the wives. Is that what was it?
That was her implication.
The little lady.
That was her implication, but I will say, obviously, it's a joke,
Yes.
right? There are so many women out there who know so much more about football than I do. I am a huge fan of Jordan Rodriguez, for example. If you don't read her, I don't know what you're doing. You're not a football fan if you don't read her. She's probably the best football writer out there.
Wow.
Highly recommend her. And by the way,
She's no Ramona Shelburne.
she is not Ramona Shelburne, and thank God.
Ramona Shelburne's a great basketball writer. You know who she is?
I do.
She is like as much NBA knowledge as any human alive.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay. But yeah, so here's the question. And like I said, we're going to start with a really super simple one today. This was, I think, her second or third question that she asked me. It was, what is a brown?
I know the answer.
I know the answer to this.
There isn't a Brown. The Browns, I believe, were named after the original coach. He was the coach or the GM or the vice president. That was Paul.
He was two of those three.
Paul Brown.
Yes, he was one of
The owner. He
was one of the co-founders.
co-founders of the Cleveland Browns.
Co-founder, their first coach, and their first GM, Paul Brown. That's it. And
The team. And apparently,
And by the way, it was a fan poll. It wasn't him.
they wanted him to bring.
Yes. There was like overwhelming. They did a fan poll in whatever, is it the Cleveland Plain Dealer or whatever the local paper was back at that time. And overwhelmingly, they wanted to call it the Browns because he was such a legendary guy. It's
So crazy.
yeah, and that is the only team I think in any major pro sport that's actually named after a person.
I just purchased my first NFL team, and
Oh my God.
a lot of debate and a lot of talking amongst ourselves. We've decided upon a name.
Oh no. Is it going to be like the Mar-a-Lago Trumps?
They're the American Trumps. Oh my God.
I would be, that is the one stadium in the whole country I would actually be afraid to go into. And I've been to Philadelphia Stadium.
What, Trump Stadium?
Yeah.
Imaginary stadium?
I would be petrified to go into that stadium. And I wearing this jersey, actually, I went into, what is it, Citizens Bank?
Oh, yeah.
Stadium. Yeah. Philly fans are something.
They are.
They are. And I was walking around Philly all day with my friend that day, and we could not walk a block without somebody screaming at me. Now, most of the time it was good nature, and it was everybody too. It was like college girls and like 80-year-old guys and like everyone in between.
Well, let's focus on the college girls for a second.
Well, because we were right near Villanova, and so there were tons of them. Yes. And of course, we made the mistake of riding the subway. And so then I was trapped. But it was for the most part, it was pretty good nature, except for
fans are hardcore, man, across the board.
Oh my God.
Flyers fans, Sixers fans, and certainly Eagles fans. I mean, you had to be to be a Viking fan or an Eagles fan or something back in the day. We had to be willing to sit outdoors in sub-zero temperatures in the middle of January on a park bench for 3 hours to root on your guys.
Yeah, and in the case of Philadelphia, at least, you had to be willing to deal with a lot of losing for a very long time.
Yep.
Yeah, Philly being a good thing is
Despite Vince Papale.
Despite Vince Papale, yes.
Good movie, by the way.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Good sports.
What was that called?
Invincible.
Invincible.
Because his name was Vince. Get it?
I do.
That's a hockey jersey title. I don't like it, but the movie was.
It was a good movie. I mean, for what it is, for a sports movie, it was actually a very good movie. Yeah. But all right, so that's it. Next week we'll have a.
That was our ass.
That was our wise quick.
Okay, man, I can handle that.
All right.
If that's all it's gonna be.
That's all it's gonna be. This, unless you want to do a second one, I do have more questions.
What's the second one?
Let's see. What's another
good question? One wouldn't. If one were not a real football fan, they don't know. Why are they called the Browns?
All right. You know what? Actually, let's do one more because I thought this was a fun one because, we are not a soccer household, but because my nephew is, and as a gift to him, we brought him to the World Cup, so he was here, and we were watching some games. Before we actually went to the game at SoFi. My wife learned that, and I learned this too for the first time, that there is a penalty in soccer now called embellishment. Now, I might have that wrong. Is that exactly what it's called?
Flopping?
Yes, it's basically flopping. And that actually, embellishment might be what they called in the NHL, and they just have the same thing in soccer.
Hockey, would not use the word embellishment.
Yeah.
It's not.
But in one of the pro sports, they call it that. They call it embellishment.
Hockey's called, he's fucking faking it.
Exactly. And so her question was, does the NFL have an embellishment penalty? And no, I am not aware of. And by the way, if you are one of the 3 people watching this and you know better, please drop it in the comments. But I am not aware of any sort of embellishment penalty that exists in the NFL.
I am not either. I would think the closest thing they have is excessive celebration, which is the dumbest fucking rule ever.
Oh, well, they don't even do that in the pros anymore. That's only a college thing, and I'm not even sure they do it in the college anymore.
What are you talking about? They absolutely have that in the pros.
In the pros, excessive celebration.
100%. They will throw.
I don't know. I'm still seeing everybody do the whole roll your boat thing, and what's the thing with the where you go into the bar?
It's like limbo.
That's it.
It's some weird judgment call, but I go ahead and you're one of our 3 listeners in the comments. Excessive celebration, is it a thing? Or we can ask Charlie. He's got his computer. He should be looking that up.
Yeah, I don't think they do excessive celebration in the NFL anymore.
Producer / engineer / fact finder / everything else.
Yeah,
excessive.
The NFL penalizes celebrations that are prolonged, delay the game, or are directed at opponents.
Yes, now that part is true.
Now, they should be directed at opponents.
Like, for example, last year in the Rams-Seattle playoff game, they had stopped the Rams on like 4th and 12 or something. And then who was it? Was it Reek Woolen, right? He got all up in Sean McVay's face and was like taunting Sean McVay. So they threw a penalty, and then on the very next play. And by the way, if I'm wrong, if it wasn't Reek Woolen, if it was another one, if I think it was Reek Woolen, but maybe it was Devin Weatherspoon, I don't remember. But on the very next play, Stafford threw a touchdown pass to Puka Nacua. It was the best poetic justice.
I just wonder if you were saying Puka Nacua and Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen and Puka Nacua. Are you saying names, no, or are you just having a stroke? Nacua, Reek Woolen.
Those are some great names.
I think the penalty should be exactly the opposite. I think if you don't taunt your opponent, you should be penalized. Yeah. If you do something good, you should be required to celebrate wildly.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that as soon as they
move all the fun or the colorfulness out of it, I mean, that's why the NFL became the NFL.
Right.
Because you had all these colorful characters doing colorful shit.
I think the thing is that, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but if I had to guess, my guess is that this is not hockey and they don't want to encourage fighting. And if you taunt somebody, these players are going 1,000 miles an hour, high emotion. And if you taunt someone, you're just baiting them into a fight. But the funny thing, by the way, about that Seattle Rams thing is that right after they threw the flag, the Rams sideline's going bananas. And some of them are like, "Oh boy, here we go, too, motherfucker." I mean, it's totally hypocritical, but
I would like to say this about that. You bring up a good point, Kevin. Oh, how? Now I'm serious.
Take note.
We're going to get a little deep. What you said about, if you're taunting or encourages a fight, whatever, I think that is exactly what should be addressed. And there is not a fine line. There's an absolute legal and criminal line. It's not illegal to taunt someone or to make fun of someone or to talk shit to someone. It might be in poor taste.
Right.
It might be deemed inappropriate by some, but it's not a crime.
That's true.
And if you can't maintain yourself when someone does, and your only option is to lose your shit and physically attack them, that's a you problem, and you should be behind bars somewhere. And I think the NFL should encourage that so kids can learn, hey, you can talk shit to each other.
Right.
You can go at it, but you can't fucking hit somebody.
Right.
You can't cross that line. Look at your NFL guys. See? These giant steroid monsters can control themselves. You can too, Jimmy. That's the message I think we should send. Not, oh, God forbid, don't taunt each other, don't celebrate, don't do anything that could be deemed possibly in poor taste.
Right.
No, be in poor taste. You have to deal with that. You don't want them to celebrate? Don't let them fucking score.
Yeah, that's true.
And I will soapbox.
I am not a fan of the no taunting penalty for sure. But I do think that's why they're doing it. But in any event, to answer my wife's question, no, I don't think that there's an embellishment penalty in the NFL.
No embellishment.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on.
Embellishment.
Power rankings.
Oh, how can we have power rankings when we barely had OTAs?
There are shows out there that have already done 5 power rankings. I'm just doing my first.
See, they're redundant.
They're stupid. Okay, power rankings are so stupid.
That's why nobody watches those shows.
I know.
But that's why we're different. That's why we're innovative.
No, what's going to be different is that I'm going to do my power rankings, and then you are going to rip me to shreds.
Okay, that's what our kind of your powers.
All right. So
you do a couple, and then I'll address.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to riff through this as quickly as I can. And I do have a format here. I want to do like a lot of people do like honorable mentions. I'm going to call them just missed, right? Before we get to my top 10. But I also, every week, what I'm going to try to do is
Before you get to your top 10, are you going bottom up?
Yeah.
We're going to have those 32 teams.
No, we're not going to do 32 teams. We're going to do the ones that just missed. And then the one thing I want to add, that I haven't seen anyone else do specifically, is every week I want to try to do a sleeper team. And especially during the off season, I think that this is really relevant. Like, it's that team that's like, you could actually maybe make the argument that they should be in the top 10, but nobody is talking about them. Right. And you're going to be really surprised by mine.
Because once they're 6-0, it's hard to call them a sleep.
That's true. But, during the season, I think you could still do it. But during the off season, it's much easier. All right. So
bring on the power.
All right. So here are
My thing when we do power rankings every week.
power rankings. Yes, do your thing.
Bring on the power.
Nice.
That'll be our power rankings.
That's cool.
Trans like, not so loud, dickhead.
We got a limiter. We're good.
Oh, he's got a limiter.
Awesome. Wow, we are high tech here.
Engineer.
All right. So here are my teams that just missed.
Please.
All right. First one, Baltimore Ravens.
Just missed what, top 10?
Just missed top 10.
Okay.
Baltimore Ravens.
Are they 11?
No, there's no 11s or 13s or whatever. Right? This is
Just a group of non-top 10.
Exactly.
All right.
So they're very hard to keep off the list, but I just have so many questions still about their defense, and their rookie receivers are going to have to mature really fast, or Lamar isn't going to have anybody.
Bro, I think
They got rid of all their tight ends.
I think he buried the lead. I think the question really is what is Lamar Jackson? Is that guy a Super Bowl caliber quarterback,
Right.
or is he just a guy?
I mean, that is another interesting question too, especially like in a non-in-season power rankings. Like, do you have to factor in the fact that even if they go 13-4, they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs, right?
It just,
And until he proves otherwise, I mean, how can you say that they're a top team?
it's very hard. It's very hard, Mike, because it would seem that prior to now they had enough team to get further than they've gotten.
Yes.
On more than one occasion,
Yes.
they were the favorites.
They have at least one of the top 2 safeties in the game. They have at least one of the top 3 running backs in the game.
Yeah.
Now their offensive line has questions too, because they lost their center, right? They lost their center to the Raiders. And they have a brand new coach, right? This is going to be the first time in 17 years that they haven't been coached by John Harbaugh.
Why did they get rid of Harbaugh? Was it like we got to get rid of Harbaugh or we got to get rid of Lamar?
I think so. Yeah. I think it was one of those, like, we just haven't, last episode you were talking about the Bills and how they're like always on the precipice. Well, the Ravens are very similar, right? They're always kind of right there, and they've never cracked through.
Yep.
And so, they decided they had to make a difference, and it's probably easier, even though it's not easy. They probably figured it's easier to find another good head coach than it is to find another Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Or at least Lamar Jackson during the regulars.
Well, Lamar Jackson that they hope he is.
Yes, exactly. So, all right, next one. And I know that there's going to be a lot of pushback on this one.
Really?
From our 4 listeners.
Our listeners. Oh,
Yeah.
that was
All right.
for me.
No. Well, maybe from you.
Okay, let's see.
But my next one is the Patriots. All right. They are also very difficult to keep out of the top 10, but they have a significantly harder schedule this year than they did last year. They have to play the AFC West and the NFC North this year.
Yep.
That is a brutal schedule, in addition to 2 games against the Bills. So you have to expect that there's going to be some regression from last year. Even with the addition of A.J. Brown, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. We don't know what's going on with his knee. And also, Drake May, his superpower last year was his deep ball. And I'm sorry, but that is a high variance thing. I don't care how accurate you are. When you're throwing the ball 50, 60 yards, it's a high variance thing.
It is a high variance thing, but I also think traditionally in the league, the thing that really is the decider in that variance is, do you have that receiver?
Yeah.
Because that was, just to use the Vikings as an obvious example, when you had Randy Moss, there was no variance. Every year he was going to catch 10, 50-yard touchdowns.
I know. But A.J. Brown, as much as I think he's a good receiver, he is not.
But that's what I'm saying. If you don't have that guy, then there is going to be variance. Yeah. But if you have a unicorn receiver, you can just throw the ball up and hope for the best. But I will say this about the Patriots. This is where you have to look at ownership and go, every team in sports should be looking at that franchise, because I cannot think of another team of any sport historically that had a run like they had.
Right.
Even talking about the old Celtics or the 80s Lakers or, the Yankees, that run was unprecedented. I mean, Belichick, Brady run was absurd. And they had about 8 seconds of downtime, and now they're in the Super Bowl.
Right. Well, you know that there's a very specific reason. There's one very, very specific reason that they were able to have that run. In addition to the fact that Tom Brady is probably the greatest quarterback of all time and Belichick's a really good coach.
What one specific reason?
There's a very, very specific reason.
What is your reason?
Tom Brady consistently took below market contracts so that they could pay other players. And if,
I would like to verify that.
no, he did. Check it out.
Okay, well, that's great. And I'm sure he wasn't living in the poorhouse. But even taking below market contracts, you cannot look at every year they had a tight end for him to throw it to. And no matter what happened to the previous guy, even one of them winding up being a murderer who was like their first round draft pick. What was his name? Hernandez.
Yeah.
He goes down. 8 seconds later, they've got a new Hernandez. They get rid of that guy.
Name was Gronkowski.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a guy before Hernandez as well.
Right.
And it's just like, this receiver's down. Here, we literally just, they had a factory where they just kept spitting out 5'11", 190-pound white guys that just had no pain.
Yeah. And I know the irony is that the one period during all that where they didn't win at all was when they had Randy Moss.
Well,
Isn't that crazy?
I barely even call that a period. It was like a blip. And it was literally, if the Giants don't have
David Tyree
7 miracle plays in a row, they probably win this turn that year. But yeah, that team, I mean, incredible the way the consistency. It's beyond belief.
For sure. Absolutely.
They lose Belichick, they lose Brady. Oh, they're going to be done. No. They'll be in the Super Bowl in half an hour. Okay, thank you.
Yes, no, I hear you. No, they are one of the handful of like very, very well-run teams. The Niners are another one. The Rams are another one. The Chiefs are another very well-run franchise.
Yes, there are very well-run ones, but I can't even, Niners, they had their whole Montana Young team and then a long time of nothing.
Right.
And then they kind of came back with that defense where
And I also think, you cannot underestimate the fact that Belichick he might be the greatest defensive coach ever.
I just think he's the best coach ever.
You
can't go 20 years of excellence without just being a genius.
But most of those Super Bowls were not the Patriots winning like 45-30 and stuff.
But that was even more.
They were pretty low scoring.
But that's even more definitive of how good he was, that he always could adjust. His in-game adjustments just beat everybody all the time.
Yes. And Tom Brady, the other thing about Tom Brady that makes him special is
super handsome.
He was super handsome. That's true. And it distracted the other team, I'm sure.
I believe he married a model, if I'm not mistaken.
He married a model, and before that he was married to a TV actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to be Tom Brady.
It's good to be Tom Brady. But no, the thing was always infuriating about him from an opponent's standpoint is that he knew what the defense was going to do before the defense did it.
Yeah.
As I've never, and even though I am a huge Stafford fan, and Stafford's great at that too, he is definitely a notch below Tom Brady. I've never seen, and not Joe Montana, not Peyton Manning, like nobody could do it like Tom Brady could do it.
I mean, I want to say yes, but I would say there's a handful of guys that you'd be hard-pressed to define what was greater about any of them. Brady, I think, consistently had better teams around him than any quarterback ever did. But I think if you're like, okay, Montana, Brady, Elway.
I know Montana had some pretty good teams of Middleton.
Well, yeah, and he won 5 championships. Marino. There's a handful of dudes that you could kind of be like, you're not going, if you put them on, an even platform team.
Right.
If you like, I don't think you have many less wins than you would with Tom Brady.
I don't know.
If you put John Elway on all those Tom Brady teams, I think they win exactly as many.
I don't know, man. Yeah, John Elway is great, but Tom Brady his ability to read what the defense is going to do.
It was quite remarkable. Yeah, but he couldn't run the way Elway could run, and he definitely didn't have the arm Elway had.
Oh, for sure.
If you add those,
neither did most quarterbacks.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, all those guys had something special. I mean, Montana could read a fucking defense like nobody's business. I mean, that guy was a surgeon.
Yeah,
he was a surgeon.
Not quite the same, but I agree. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
All right. Next one on my list is the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals. So this just feels like a team that doesn't have an identity, but anytime you got Joe Burrow and Lamar Chase and T. Higgins, you've got a chance. But I can't put them in the top 10 because they got rid of best defensive player. I don't know who they are. And, or I shouldn't say they got rid of him, but they let him walk.
That's super insane.
So they're next on my list of just misses. And then after them, the Packers, the Green Bay Packers, just outside the top 10. We're not exactly sure when Micah Parsons is going to return. Jordan Love is still at best a fringe tier 1 quarterback at best. And I just don't know who else they have that pushes the needle for them. So if they're going to go 2/3 of the season without Parsons on defense, I just don't know. And especially in that division, you've got the Bears are going to be great again. You've got the Lions who are going to be really solid at least really solid. And I'll get to the Vikings in a minute, but
It's a fair assessment of both of those teams so far.
all right. Next on the list is the Houston Texans. The defense is terrifying. That is one of the best defenses I've seen, maybe even since the '85 Bears. I mean, they're that good. Or what was it, the 2000 Ravens? I mean, they are crazy good. But, C.J. Stroud has to show that what he did as a rookie was not just a fluke, and he hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, I think it was.
And
I don't think it was a fluke, but I think he will regress to the mean, as they say.
well, he's regressed a long way. After what did he have, like 7 turnovers in one game in the playoffs last year? And, they completely rebuilt their offensive line, but they have to gel, and so only time's going to tell. If the offensive line actually comes together and they're even an average unit, then they could do so. They'll probably win their division again, and they could be a very, very solid team. But right now, they're just outside the top 10. And then my last team that I have outside the top 10, other than my sleeper team, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just not sure that they did anything to improve this offseason.
I would put them well outside the top 10.
Well, I mean, they did finish 13-4 last year, something like that. So
I think that
Liam Cohen is no joke. He's a real coach. He's a very, very good coach. They are in a weaker division.
I think there's a lot of
So,
record.
but we'll see. Right now, I just don't know. The jury's still out on them. And maybe you're right. I mean, that is a team that if you told me if at the end of the year they wind up like 7-10 or 8-9, I wouldn't be surprised. But they are going to have what's his name? The Colorado kid, the two-way player. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. He was the second round. He's the guy they traded up with. They traded up for to take second.
He's a cornerback?
Cornerback and wide receiver. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now, but they're gonna have him back for if he stays healthy all season, he'll help a lot. But we'll see. All right, my sleeper team, and trust me, this is not just for you. I truly believe what I'm saying is the Minnesota Vikings. I said this to you when we were talking about it like 3 weeks ago, that you just wait. Kyler Murray was never what was wrong with the Arizona Cardinals. That guy was the first overall pick for a reason. Now, granted, the only guy out there who has an offensive system that's close to as crazy as Sean McVay's might be Kevin McDonald. So he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But and they're from what I've heard, they're throwing everything at him right now. But this is why you have the offseason, and this is why you have training camp and all of that. And if he's the guy, I'm sure they're gonna. If they have to pare down the playbook a little bit at the start of the year, I'm sure they will. I know that you have concerns about who's going to play safety for them, but
others.
Brian Flores is a great defensive coach. And
I don't know about that.
I think he's going to get a lot out of his guys. And I'm telling you, that team is going to score points. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison. Those guys are super legit. This is another team that I think has a bunch of tight ends, and they're all deep.
DJ Hawkinson.
They have
Stacked running back room.
Yeah.
There's no question they have weapons. There's also no question that these donuts have not arrived.
Oh, wait. Should we take a time out before I get into the actual top 10 and I'll see if they arrived? They were delivered. That means I have to go out to the front door and get them. But why? Yeah, you just vamp.
Okay.
All right? You vamp while I go out to get the donuts.
Where you teach acting?
At my building.
In your building?
Yep. There's a big giant room downstairs and nobody's using it. So I could say,
Oh, nice. How long you been doing that?
Teaching acting?
Yeah.
25 years. Shotno. Yeah.
All right.
That's the big the reveal.
This is the reveal. So get it.
Are we rolling?
Oh, we're rolling. Oh, we're rolling.
All right, we need to find out if what this lemon poppy seed item is.
How's my mic, Charlie?
Lovely. Should I do a drum roll?
Please.
Yeah, forward professional drummer. Can I drum roll in this football? Something but
I don't know, care.
all bad notes.
You keep talking about how I have millions of dollars of paraphernalia. That's one of them. All right. So they threw this in, which we didn't order. Don't know what that is.
Right. Randomly picked donuts. Chocolate.
That's the chocolate. This is another chocolate sprinkles. So we did order 2 of those.
That's what. One's a chocolate sprinkle and one's something else. Oh, maple.
Lemon.
It is a lemon poppy seed donut. Holy shit.
You lost the bet.
I lost. I owe Kevin a case of his own Diet Coke.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Sugar.
Life just got better. Where were we?
All right.
Vikings.
Yeah, we were just about to actually get into the top 10.
Let me just say this about the Vikings. Obviously, that is my my field of expertise. I would like to say they have a lot of question marks.
They do.
They have question marks on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple positions that they were like, they still are up in the air about the center. The guy they have, they've always been like, yeah. They're moving guys around from guard to tackle, this and that, and the other thing. You know, we'll see about the line. They obviously have weapons ahoy. The defense, a lot of new figures. They let their best guy go. Another
Harrison Smith?
No. Harrison Smith is like 130 years old. No, their linebacker. They let them in sacks the last 3 years. The guy that was, I think he was a former Packer, Grenard, Jonathan Grenard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's gone. Why? I have no idea. They literally have 2 guys at this point who can play end in a 3-4, and they're trying to move a former tackle to be their third end guy, which is fucking crazy.
It worked for the Rams.
Yeah, but this guy's never done it. This is not like a guy who's a tweener.
Right.
So, and I have my doubts about Brian Flores. I think he's somewhat overrated. The Vikings, since they've had him, have never had like a top 3 defense. They've had good defenses, but always like, if you look under the numbers a little, you go, oh, there's big problems, like big problems. Giving up way too many critical plays, way too many. I don't know if they've shored that up. Losing, I mean, they still don't know whether Harrison Smith's going to play or not.
Right.
Which is insane.
Right.
At this point, they should have either gone to him well before this and said, dude, we need to know so we either can fill this position,
right,
or know that you're here. So I don't understand why this is still ongoing. They just had OTAs and they still have not come to any kind of resolution about this.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever even heard of something like that before? When?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
What?
Jimmy Garoppolo. He still hasn't officially decided what he wants to do.
Yeah, but that's not your best guy on your team.
No, I know, but
that's not like your leader for the last 15 years.
Right.
This should have been resolved. And the fact that it's not, I think, is going to leave a chasm in that defense. And if they get burned multiple times a game on 20-yard plus plays, I think it's going to be because they didn't address this. And again, bottom line is, do they have a quarterback or do they not?
Who did they draft in the first round
this year?
Yeah.
Oh, they did a huge reach on this defensive tackle.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, maybe they feel more confident than those
had as a 3rd to 4th round grade because the guy had so many question marks.
That doesn't matter. I mean, Puka Nacua was drafted in the 5th round. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, but nobody said but my point is, you're talking about the reverse. I'm talking about.
Or how about Ty Simpson then?
What about Ty Simpson?
Nobody thought he was a 1st round pick. The Rams picked him in the 1st round this year.
Well, I don't know. We don't know about him.
That's right. We don't know about this guy either. Is my point.
Yeah, but this guy is a big reach.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with it is, if they drafted someone else that was a more solid shot, they could have got this guy at any time. They could have taken him in the 2nd round, the 3rd round. nobody had him going in this route. Nobody had him as a first round pick. And so,
Let's see. You know, every
it works. If it doesn't, it's a disaster.
every year there's those players that everyone's like, oh, this is a reach, or you know, you just never know. You never know.
Yeah, but the problem is they've reached multiple years in a row, and half of their first round picks.
Well, they actually have a GM now who's not, you know.
Yeah, but he didn't make these picks.
Yeah, I know.
Another great move. Let's do the draft first, then get our new GM.
Yeah, I know. But I still think you guys are my sleeper team.
I hope so. Well, I know it's hard for you to say, so I appreciate it.
Oh, it's not hard for me to say at all. You guys are not going to win the NFC, but if you guys win 11 games, I will not be surprised at all. At all.
I will be.
I will not. All right. So that's my sleeper. Let's move on to my top 10. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. So the new offensive coordinator is most likely going to help. But Mekhi Lemon was a very, very weird choice for me because he thrives at the kind of routes that Jalen Hurts like struggles with the most. Like he's a over the middle kind of guy, and you couldn't pay Jalen Hurts apparently to fall in the middle of the field. So that seemed like, I mean, even though I was hoping that the Rams would draft Mekhi Lemon, I like that kid a lot. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. He's really good at what Jalen Hurts isn't good at, and they just got rid of the guy who's the best at what Jalen Hurts is good at. So I got a lot of questions about them. And plus, I mean, I respect the hell out of Howie Roseman, just like I think everybody in the league does, but I just think that they have serious questions remaining on both lines they haven't answered yet. So they're the Eagles. They got so much talent. They got Saquon. The middle of their defensive line is insane.
Yeah.
But they've got two of the best, you know, DBs in the league as well. But they're in my top 10, but I can't rank them higher until they show me that that they can kind of return to their form of a couple years ago.
And I think Jalen is another one of those guys that is like, what really is this? What's this guy going to look like for the next 6 or 7 years? Because like, you know, everyone thought a year or two ago, they're like, holy Lord, this guy.
Right.
And then like, nah, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? You know, it's kind of like that same netherworld. Like, I mean, obviously Lamar Jackson's been in the league a lot longer, but there are 3 or 4 handful of quarterbacks out there that you want them to perform better than they have,
Right.
consistently. And so,
I mean, Jalen is always such a weird argument because he's actually won a Super Bowl, right? And if I'm not mistaken, he was the Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken. So he has, I think he was. Again,
sure,
for listeners, pop that down in the comments, but I'm pretty sure he was a Super Bowl MVP. But yeah, it's just,
which is even more concerning. It did not look like a Super Bowl MVP.
he is, well,
He was hurt though, right?
I don't think he was hurt. I think that, you know, another new offensive coordinator, they took out like almost all
was. Charles nice. Yep.
Yeah. They took out almost all the design runs from the offense. It was just such a bland, weird offense. And so it's not all on him, but I just don't know if you know, even with the new offensive coordinator, I don't know if they have the guys who can help him do the things that he does well. Yeah. Unless they put a lot more design, you know, unless they get a new tackle and you know, and I think they need a new guard on the right side too, if I'm not mistaken. And they put some more design runs back into it, some RPO stuff maybe. I don't know. There's just so many questions, but they're the Eagles and they got so many great players, and so I had to put them in the top 10.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right, number 9, the Chicago Bears. So I mentioned variance a little while ago. Variance is another thing that I think is in play with this team because you're not going to win. We're not going to have 7 fourth quarter comebacks again. It's just not going to happen.
Unlikely.
So there's going to be some regression to the mean. But I think to a certain degree, that regression to the mean is going to get canceled out a little bit by the fact that this is going to be Caleb Williams' second year in Ben Johnson's system. And Ben Johnson is no joke. That guy is the real deal. Now, I don't like the whole ripping off the shirt thing in the locker room and I hate the Packers. I don't like that stuff. Yeah. But you know, he's a fantastic offensive mind and it's a good head coach. You know, the biggest questions remaining for me with them are things like, is Roma Dunze really ready to be a number one guy? You know, do they have enough depth at wide receiver overall? And have they made the right moves or enough moves to rebuild their defense?
Yeah.
Those are my big questions.
Which is funny because like there are certain teams that have been so known for their defense for so long and their offense always struggled. At the Bears, you know, the Ravens, obviously,
Right.
Giants, obviously, and the Bears for sure.
Yeah.
And so now to go, well, is the Bears defense and whatever? And it's because weird to watch a Bears game where they're just getting sliced up, and you're like, is that the Bears defense? Like, what happened then? Where's Richard Dent? Where's Mike Singletary?
Dating us again, Noah.
Who's dating us? We're both married. But yeah, no, and those teams that carries over, and they've always had, some standout defensive players, but I don't know if this year they'll have that.
Yeah.
And again, Caleb, what is this, his third year now? Third year around?
Third year, yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
The fourth year or third year?
Third year.
Yeah, I guess that's a big thing to see if he actually is the guy.
And he's got a full season in Ben Johnson's system and then another off season. And so their offense is probably going to be pretty scary. Again, if Roma Dunze, because they got rid of DJ Moore, so now who's he throwing the ball to? Roma Dunze and a bunch of guys, basically. And so is Roma Dunze ready to be a number one receiver? I don't know.
Even if he is, you got to have other options or just, the double teamed all day and that'll be that.
Right. All right, moving on. Number 8, the Detroit Lions. So the questions about Jared Goff are going to remain until, he's like Lamar in the sense that until he wins the big one, you're going to constantly have those questions about him. And it certainly doesn't help that they got rid of David Montgomery because now, everyone's saying, oh, great, I'm going to draft Jahmyr Gibbs on my fantasy team, number one, drafted number 1 overall. But this is the NFL, man. And, if that guy winds up with 300 touches, 400 touches or whatever, I don't even know where, but at a high number of touches, he's just going to get beat up.
Yeah.
He's not a big guy. And so I do worry about Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he's a dynamic player. I have a different overall feeling about the Lions than I know you have from our previous conversations. I think they're one of the most talented teams in the league. And I think Dan Campbell is a very good coach. And I think that they have just been snake bit over the last 2 years by injuries. And if they can stay, and it's weird, they're kind of like the 49ers in that respect, that they just have this wicked rash of injuries.
Yeah.
If they can stay healthy, I don't see them losing that division. Now, do I think they're going to win the NFC? I don't think so. But I could see them making it to the NFC Championship. They are a very, very good team.
That's what we thought last year.
And then they had tons of injuries. I don't care how good you are. What the 49ers were able to do last year is almost inexplicable.
Well, the thing is, like, when you have those injuries and when they're not just like, oh, he's got a sore ankle or he's got a little bit of this, that, they have real injuries.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, guys don't come back the same.
That's true.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's another big question, right?
How many of those dudes are going to come back and be the guy they were before that injury, or what percentage of them is going to be there? And that's,
Exactly. Lots of questions, but they have the talent. And if those guys come back and Aiden Hudson plays the whole season,
big question mark.
Yeah, they'll be legit. Okay, number 7, San Francisco 49ers. I think it remains to be seen how much Mike Evans has left in the tank. He's always been a very physical receiver, and he's 34 now. But most importantly, and actually you kind of just touched on this, that the injuries that Fred Warner and Nick Fosa had last year are brutal injuries. So we have to kind of see, like, how, are they going to return to being Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, or are they only going to be like 70-80% of those guys? And, that's why they're probably not higher on this list. But the X factor for them is, even though I don't like him, and I really don't like him, you cannot deny that Kyle Shanahan is just an amazing coach. That guy, what they did last year, and I know Robert Saleh was probably a big part of it, and he's gone now too, which will be another big loss of them. Now they have Raheem Morris as their defensive coordinator, so that's not a downgrade at all. What he was able to do last year with all those injuries, and they were 12-5, and they were right in it till the end, and they made it to the playoffs, and that was nothing short of phenomenal. That is a fantastic organization, and I hate them for it, but I just think they have a lot of question marks about how much are we going to get back of those guys, and plus, and the other thing is that if Mike Evans is only 70% of Mike Evans, then I just don't know if they have enough weapons to throw to.
Well, they do.
So there's question marks.
But 34 is a lot for that kind of receiver.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also feel like Bosa, again, not a spring chicken.
Right.
Guys that rely, especially like him, who really rely on their speed, their quickness, their dynamism.
Is there agility? Yeah.
That is something that, it would be on the decline anyway, but when you're coming back from a major injury, I don't think he'll be the dominant force that he's been prior to this. And I also just think quarterback, good.
I don't know. We could do it. We could be like everybody else, and we could do an entire episode on Brock Purdy.
Yeah. But you would think that you're ever going to hear in your life, Brock Purdy won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. As much as I hate to say it. And the thing is that as a Rams fan, I kind of don't have a choice anymore but to admit that he's a good quarterback because they just drafted the guy who is the next Brock Purdy.
He's a good quarterback. He's fine. I think he had a moment where the stars aligned, just like that guy on the Vikings had for 5 minutes, and then he basically was a backup the rest of his life.
That guy the Vikings had? Do you mean Sam Darnold?
No. Before that, the Minneapolis Miracle. He took over the team, and they wound up winning like 14 games, and they won that playoff game with the Minneapolis Miracle. And he was basically
Case Keenum?
Yes.
Oh.
Case Keenum. Unbelievable season. It was a 13-14 win.
Dude, you're going to get us slaughtered if anybody actually watches this by comparing Brock Purdy to Case Keenum.
I'll stand by it. 100%. I'm not saying he's the same guy. I'm saying Case Keenum caught lightning in a bottle. You can't argue with the numbers that he put up or anything else. He was absolutely, in that season, he was an A-plus quarterback.
Purdy's done it multiple years now, though, and he's
had good years. He's never had great years.
Okay. If you want, we can devote an entire episode to Brock Purdy.
I would rather not.
But
I'll take a Super Bowl. Oh, they agree with me.
Brock Purdy is not in the top 6 for certain.
What? He's not even.
But he's somewhere between 7 and 15.
Yes, 14 would be.
Well, I don't know. He's a very good quarterback.
Kevin, you could name 10 guys literally right now without thinking they're better than Brock Purdy.
I don't know if I could.
You absolutely could.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do it.
I would include in them guys like Dak Prescott, who are on teams that are going nowhere. But there are quarterbacks.
Wait, oh my God, you're gonna flip out in a second though.
Okay.
All right, if you think that. All right, here we go.
Cowboys next? Oh,
No, the next I have the Bills.
All right.
Because Josh Allen, and enough said. But they have a new coach. Joe Brady has been there for a long time, but he's never been a head coach. And they're another team. I just don't know what they did really to improve. I mean, their big offseason acquisition was DJ Moore, who has never been more than maybe a fringe number 2 wide receiver, at least in my opinion. So, but it's Josh Allen. The Bills are always right there. Josh Allen is, if Josh Allen was playing for the Chiefs or the Niners or the Rams, he probably would have already won 5 Super Bowls, that guy. But, so you can never count them out. They play in a fairly weak division. Even if you want to say that the Patriots are better than I think they are, they still have a guaranteed 4 wins every year because they play the Dolphins and the Jets. And the other thing is that they finished second in their division last year, right? So they're not going to have to play a first place schedule this year. I think that the Bills, they're going to be in it. They're one of the top 3 teams in the AFC for sure.
Yeah. As long as he's healthy, you can't count them out.
So number 5. And by the way, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. Number 5 is the Dallas room. Number 5 is the Dallas Cowboys, and it pains me to say that. I hate the Cowboys more than I hate the 49ers. But look, you've got it. They were like a top 3 offense last year, right? They got Pickens and they've got CeeDee Lamb. And do we have there you go. Oh, we're good? All right, cool. So they got Pickens and they got CeeDee Lamb. Dak is a very good quarterback. He's not worth $60 million a year, but he's a very good quarterback. He obviously has a very good agent. And they just did so much to improve that defense. And did they fill every single hole? I don't know.
What was the 2 big moves?
Well, Caleb Downs, and who was the other guy that they drafted? They had 2 picks in the top 20.
I don't care. You're talking about draft picks. I'm talking about, did they go out and did they go sign yeah, I think they did that. They go get the best player of the
No, they didn't. But they're
getting draft picks for schmaff picks.
They are going to be, look, if this is another team where if that defense is even average, right? If they're average, they're going to score so many points that they're going to win a lot of games. And especially if,
Why didn't they last year?
well, because the defense was not average. The defense was atrocious. Couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
But
Did they light up the scoreboard?
they did. They were a top 3 offense last year, for sure. Yeah. Charlie Puka. I'm telling you, I might be off by 1. They got our top off.
Oh, that's I had no way.
I don't usually put a lot of stock in rookies and stuff like that, but they drafted someone who's probably going to be a generational guy, and they just did a lot. They did a lot they attacked their defense, and that's what they needed to do in the offseason.
Time will tell.
And also with so many questions about the rest of that division, I think that they're gonna do well. They're gonna be a 11-12 win team at least.
No.
All right, number
A
4.
lot of questions. I think, Philly is solid for sure. We'll get to it. Go ahead.
All right, number 4, the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs. Their big question mark is kind of what we were talking about before. Like, how is Patrick Mahomes going to be Patrick Mahomes again? He's a very mobile quarterback. His superpower is his ability to create, and and he hurt his knee. And so how is he going to come back to being him, or is he going to be 70% of him or 80% of him? They have to keep their wide receiver room together. They improved at running. We talked about this last time. They improved at running back dramatically by getting Kenneth Walker. If I'm not mistaken, they got rid of their top 2, or they lost their top 2 cornerbacks. But they also drafted Mansour Delane, who's another guy who's probably going to be a very, very good player in this league for a very long time. They're another team that had two first-round draft picks. I forget who they drafted with their second pick, but I know they are putting some attention to their defense. And their big thing is, I think that they're in an incredibly tough division. But I think you're going to see regression with the Broncos. I didn't even put them in my just misses. And they're another one that I feel pretty confident they're a top 3 team in the AFC at least. So they're number 4 for me.
I think that's a reach. I think 4 or 5. I think you're reaching hard
On the Chiefs?
on Dallas and the Chiefs.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hear your thoughts in a sec. All right. Number 3, I put the Seahawks. Again, kind of painful for me. But they did lose a lot of pieces. I think they lost like 4 players to free agency, including several key pieces of their defense. Time will tell whether they drafted well or not.
No.
And Mike McDonald is, I'm not the first person to say this, but he probably is the defensive Sean McVay. So they're always going to be good as long as he's there. But they did lose a lot of pieces. And the other big question mark for them is, was last year an aberration for Sam Darnold? Is he going to turn back into a pumpkin?
No.
Or is that him?
I thought it was exactly him. I think he was surrounded by a very good team.
Right.
He did what he needed to do. He didn't try to get over his skis, as they say.
Right.
And I think he's absolutely capable of doing that for that 4 or 5 years.
All right.
No reason he should.
Well, he also committed 6 turnovers against the Rams, so he's probably got to stop doing that.
He's not Matthew Stafford.
Right.
he's not a top 10 quarterback. I mean, maybe he's a 10, maybe he's 9 or 10.
Right.
But he's not a guy who's going to dazzle you ever. And if you need to rely on him to win games,
Right.
that's not going to happen. But if you have the right team around that guy, obviously it happened twice. The Vikings had a really good team around him. Not good enough, as this was their defense was wildly overrated, like I said, and they got annihilated in the playoffs because they couldn't stop anyone. But Seattle talked about much better defense, obviously. And Darnold did what he needed to do.
Sam Darnold had 2 turnovers in that Rams playoffs game. All right. Only one of which was his fault. The second one was when he got blindsided and then by Witherspoon.
Yeah.
And then Verse picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown. So remember that. That means that the Rams offense, which is one of the best offenses in the league, even that year, they only scored 20 points in that game.
Yeah.
And he got sacked 9 times. 9 times. So that loss I don't think was on him. Not at all.
I didn't say it was. I was talking about the Vikings. But the reason they let him go was because they thought, postseason, he's the guy who can't get it done.
But that's what I'm saying is that I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you that was not his fault. That was not indicative of what he had done.
I didn't think so either. And I think he's perfectly capable of being exactly who he was last year.
Well, we'll see. That'll certainly make the NFC West more interesting for a long time. So, all right, number 2. I have a feeling you're going to probably be surprised by this. I'm also.
I don't think I'll be that surprised.
I have to admit that I was surprised the first time I saw someone else choose this team as the number 2 team, and then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense. And that's the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Chargers are my number 2 team. You got that coach. You got Harbaugh as your coach. You've got someone who I don't know, Justin Herbert. I guess he's another guy who still has to prove it, but he's got the physical tools, and that team is so talented. If they stay healthy.
What's different about them this year?
They've got both their tackles, for one thing. Like, they couldn't protect him last
Were they both out last year?
Both of them for almost the entire season.
Okay, that's big.
I think he probably needs one more weapon to throw to. But they got Amarian Hampton, who I have so much confidence in is going to be a very good back in this league for a very long time. That defense is legit. And I do think that the Broncos are going to regress. The Raiders are in their division. So it's going to be them and the Chiefs sort of fighting it out.
Yeah.
They play not a number 1 schedule this year, so shouldn't be too rough there. So I have the Chargers as number 2, and my number 1 is not going to surprise you.
No, it won't.
But look, I'm not the first person to say this. I know I'm a Rams homer, but
you want to prove it?
But you can't, just in case, you can't argue that they have had an incredibly impactful offseason.
Yes.
Obviously, everybody knows about the big moves that they made on defense. That has gone from an average defense to probably going to be a top 3 defense this year, I would guess. They didn't lose anybody off the offense except for Rob Havenstein, but Rob Havenstein didn't play most of the season.
Did Rob Havenstein decide to go back to being an accountant?
No, now he's on a podcast.
Okay, see?
With Aaron Coscarelli, I think is how you say her name.
Hi, I'm Rob Havenstein, and I'm Aaron Coscarelli. How the fuck are you going? All right, I'm done.
She doesn't talk like that at all.
Neither does he, probably.
No.
For purposes of my little demonstration.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to get too much argument about putting the Rams at number 1. I think that's most people would have them top 3 no matter how you slice it.
Right.
I think the Chargers at number 2 is a giant reach.
Who would your number 2 team be?
Jeez. I mean, I would put Seattle number 2. I would put the Rams at Seattle. I would flip a coin.
Okay. Even though Seattle lost 4 players?
It's never seemed to be a problem for them. They always just are able to, like the Patriots, they just plug people in. Everybody thought they were done when that last team disbanded, when the Legion of Boom and their quarterback was gone.
And they were sort of wandering in the wilderness for
about 8
years.
Not 8 years. Not 8
All right, Charlie. When did the Seahawks, not including this past year, when was the last time they won the Super Bowl? It was like 2013 or something.
I'm not saying they won the Super Bowl.
But they were barely in the playoffs. They were like a 9-17 every year.
No, after they won the Super Bowl, they were still very competitive for another 2-3 years. Then they broke up the Beatles. And after they broke up the Beatles and they sent the quarterback packing, it's like, what, 2 seasons? And then they were back.
But my point is that they were bad for a long time.
Not a long time.
They were.
Not a long time.
What was the year? Was it 2013?
14.
14.
But according to this search that I just did, they won the Super Bowl in 2026 as well.
Oh, no, they did. For sure. But my point is that after they won it in 2014, they were like a 9-18 or 9-17 before we went to 17 games.
They were still very competitive. It wasn't like you played the Seahawks and marked a win in your calendar.
Oh, you did if you were a Rams fan.
Well, if you're around saying, I did wins no matter what because they're oblivious. But anyway, I would say both of those two teams. I mean, I hate to say it, but I do think the Bears are going to be very, very good this year. I would not be surprised if the Redskins surprise some people.
I would be stunned if the Redskins.
Oh well, that whatever the fuck
They're called the Commanders now.
Sorry,
Keep dating yourself.
Yeah, there is.
Keep doing everything you can to get us canceled.
Gonna try. I'm sorry. So
You just call them the Redskins.
no, I'm sorry. The Washington Savages are going to be a very good team. Not the Savages. What are they?
The Commanders.
The Commanders.
Although they did, for one season, they had the best name of any team ever in pro sports.
Washington. Who are they?
They were called the Washington Football Team.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Anyway,
Will you please say Washington Commanders?
I did. I said Commanders like all right times.
My goodness.
I'll never remember it. But anyway, I think there's a lot of like a lot of those teams that you said were like bubble teams. I think any one of those teams, if things break right, could be a top 5 team.
Okay.
I don't think they're it's not like back in some of those days where there was just a clear runaway favorite where every year it was like Chiefs, Patriots, and then an NFC team. This year has a lot more. This feels a lot more wide open.
Right.
There's definitely not like a clear cut dominant AFC team. Patriots got to the Super Bowl last year. I think the seas kind of parted for them. And
I agree.
Out. I think this
Free snowstorm in the second half of the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, all things being equal, I don't know that you could pick a clear-cut favorite in the AFC.
No.
And it's not because they're all so great. It's because they're all good.
Right.
And we'll see if anybody emerges.
At least that's what it feels like right now. I mean, there's
It's the same thing in the NFC. Like, if you look at basically Rams, Seahawks, and then, like, who? Yeah, maybe Packers, maybe Bears, maybe Vikings, maybe Lions, maybe Niners,
maybe Cowboys.
maybe Cowboys.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely Eagles, like, but they got that whole group of teams.
Right.
If they all played each other, I don't think, at least here the preseason on paper,
Right.
they're pretty even. They're all, that's true. There's no real clear-cut runaways.
I mean, there's definitely gonna look. I mean, it's preseason. That's why these power rankings are so stupid.
Exactly. Yeah, let someone do something like
I know.
preseason.
But
Dumb.
there's definitely gonna be a team that like nobody was thinking about that's gonna
They're all.
rise up. There always is. But for now, this is what it seems like to me.
I mean, the Knicks just won the NBA championship.
Yeah.
I don't know what the odds were preseason if you'd have bet that.
I don't think anybody except James Dolan thought that was.
Major money if you made that bet.
Yeah.
Because they were, I wouldn't say they were
I want to say they were 3,000 to 1 or something like that.
3,000 to 1?
Yeah, I think they were 3,000 to 1. Yeah.
That'd be pretty hard.
Or plus.
I mean, that's basically 30 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus 3,000. I'm sorry. That's not 3,000.
That would surprise me. Yeah. I mean, they were probably borderline top 10 preseason.
Sure.
But yeah, that's, so it can happen. It's harder, I think, in football than in basketball.
To be the team that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's the opposite. Because the NFL, we can actually do an episode on this too. The NFL is actually set up so that everybody, well, when we were at 16 games, it was everybody's 8-8 at the start of the season, right? It's an even playing field because of the salary count.
Yeah.
Now, certain teams still have unfair advantages, right? Like there was a story not too long ago that I read about the Broncos, who has the richest ownership group in the whole league. And because of that, what they can do is they can convert a lot of like salary into signing bonus, which doesn't count against the salary cap, but that means you got to pay a whole bunch more cash up front. So you have to have an ownership group that is able to do that, right? So there are still advantages that some teams have over others just because of stuff like that.
And that's good.
But for the most part, the whole reason that the NFL is a national sport, and like you could turn on any game for the most part. You turn on any game on Sunday. I'm not a Packers fan, for example, but if the Packers Cowboys are on, I'm going to watch them because it's a national game and because the entire league is structured that way so that it's an even playing field. Everybody has the same amount of money to spend every year. You're playing by the same rules. Like if you have a creative GM like Howie Roseman or Les Snead, you can figure out ways around it.
Fair boy.
Right?
Fair.
And then some organizations are just better run than others, and that's why you do see perennial doormats and perennial. That's really good.
That always blows me. Like, how do the Jets stay in business? How can you be terrible for basically the totality of your existence? For like, they had Joe Namath 160 years ago, and then they had like the sack exchange, which was a very decent defense in the 80s, and that's it. That's it.
I think they won a playoff game with Mark Sanchez.
Did they win a playoff game?
They won a playoff.
Buck fumble. But I mean, how do you keep your fan base? How do you keep your organization liquid? How do you stay afloat when it's just failure after failure?
Especially in New York, because it's not like they don't have another team to root for. Not that the Giants have been great lately either, but they certainly have a better history.
But even
the Jets.
Look at the entirety of New York sports.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
Yeah. It's so true.
Rangers.
It's a fair point.
Giants.
The only thing
Yankees, Mets, and then one franchise that has never even sniffed.
Well, except for when they won Super Bowl III.
Yeah, like the third year of the NFL, they won.
Right. No, I get it.
Only white guys, and like you had defensive tackles that were 170 pounds. Yeah.
Well, that was everybody back then, right?
It was, but I mean, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. It's a great question. Maybe that's something we should explore. But
even sadder that they did have that one, season or two of miracle with a legendary player and fell off a cliff, never to return.
Yeah. No, that would be an interesting topic to explore for sure.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to our next segment.
What, another segment? I thought we had more.
No.
What's our next one?
We got one more, buddy.
Oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm making more donuts.
All right. I got more donuts.
No, I don't want any more.
You sure? All right. So I have titled this segment the Holy Shit Moment of the Week.
There's no season.
Yeah. We are workshopping that title, but right now I'm calling it the Holy Shit Moment of the Week.
All right.
And it's meant to just be whatever we decide is the biggest story of that week, the most surprising, the most controversial, whatever it is.
Copy.
So, because we're off season and because we're still getting our legs here and trying to get episodes up online and stuff like that, this is actually not going to be a story from this week, but from a week and a half ago.
Oh,
all right.
You're dating us again.
I'm dating us again.
This is
So
yesterday's news.
this is from
A week and a half ago. It last will be 10 years ago.
the Friday of the World Cup game between the USA and Paraguay at SoFi Stadium.
You're talking about football.
Football.
Okay.
All right. But the reason why this is an NFL story is because, it's SoFi. So there's always tons of celebrities that show up in the camera.
Is that the place where you have the season tickets?
Oh my God. What if I said no?
I would tell everyone you're lying. No one, you would lose faith. No one would trust you anymore.
Yes, that's the place where I have season tickets. But of course, the camera cuts around all the celebrities and whatever. And so at one point, the camera cut to Puka Nacua sitting with Jaxson Dart. And I'm actually kind of surprised that I haven't seen this blow up more online because my first impression when I saw that was, what the fuck are the PR people thinking? Right? You've got two people who have been in the news for really controversial reasons that people are really pissed off about. And you sit them next to each other?
Like, I'm Puka Nacua, right? I'm Puka Nacua, and I'm on this campaign to supposedly like rehabilitate my image, right? Because of all the crap that went on and all the assumptions that people jumped to, and you know, with the stuff that happened towards the end of last year, beginning of this year.
Just say what it is, so somebody that's tuning in isn't like, what are they talking about?
Well, I'll get to that one second. But then you take him and you put him next to the guy who like everybody is pissed off at, or at least half the country is pissed off at, because he introduced Trump at a Trump rally, right? That's the guy you're going to sit him next to, the guy that half the country now thinks is a freaking racist and an a-hole and a MAGA, you know, bootlicker, and that's who you're going to sit next to? And I just thought it was a fascinating thing that these two guys who are both great players, by the way. Obviously, Puka is. Jaxson had a really nice rookie season, and I think he's going to be a good player. And I think a lot of the controversy over him introducing Trump at that rally is a bunch of hoopla and nonsense. And we're going to talk about that in our final segment here when we get to talking about outrage culture.
Not the final segment.
But no, this is kind of the introduction to the final segment, right? But I don't know. I mean,
Is that it? People like 3-hour podcasts.
that just struck me as I just couldn't believe that someone on their PR teams didn't think the first person we're going to show you with publicly outside of a member of your own team in practice is going to be this guy.
Well, two things. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. My thought would be this. A, it's not necessarily a PR fail or success. Either way, it might just be those two dudes are friends and for whatever reason wanted to go sit with each other at the game. It's entirely possible. If somebody saw you and I there, they would be like, why would Noah Blake be with Kevin Jaxson, for the love of Christ? I mean, for God's sake, look at the problems this guy's dealt with, and now he's going to be with this guy, this season ticket holder? Anyway, I'm kidding. No, there's no real assumption that was a PR decision. Because if it were, you'd have to go, well, why would they? So I think rather than that it was a purposeful decision, I'm guessing it was just probably those two dudes
Right.
are friends for whatever.
Well, I don't know if it was a PR. I don't think it was a PR decision. That's kind of my point. Is like, why didn't they stop it from happening? It just surprised me.
Well,
Now, I think that it's no big deal. But the first place my mind went to, because I know the controversies those guys have been involved in,
right.
is why, I was just shocked that some PR person didn't like say, hey, maybe this isn't the best guy for you to show up next to in your first public appearance, since you were accused of like biting some woman.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit apples and oranges. It's like, what he was accused of and what Dart did are not really in the same league.
But they both caused massive controversies among certain groups of people.
Well, but the problem is, if you say anything political, you're going to cause massive controversy with half the country.
Right.
If he'd have introduced Joe Biden at an event, all the rest of the half country would go, look at that piece of shit. So it's through your lens, you're like,
Right.
why would he sit with this guy? The other half of the country's going, way to go, Puka, for sitting with a MAGA guy.
Right.
So like, it's a little bit insane, because rational thought would say, those people are crazy.
Right.
There goes our Ferrarians. Thank you for playing. But that aside, it is really, that's kind of a personal lens morality issue, rather than this guy might be Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
It's kind of, who knows? So it's a little odd,
Right.
to sit someone who is in the middle of any kind of media firestorm.
Right.
You'd think that Puka's choice, if anything, would be like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Sit next to your mom.
But the other thing is,
Or someone on your team.
but maybe that is more telling about who this guy is. Maybe he did bite this woman, and maybe he did abuse this woman, and maybe he did so because he is aligned with that sort of thinking. And maybe you need to consider what team you're going to root for, Mr.
Oh my goodness. Or maybe they just decided they didn't care. Maybe it didn't even occur to them. Maybe they're just like, hey, this is my friend and I'm going to the game.
100% zero chance.
Really?
Zero.
You think there's zero chance that they weren't just like, hey, I'm just going to go to the game with this guy. He's my friend.
No. If I went and introduced Trump at a rally and I came and sat down to do this podcast, you would just go, yeah, we won't even talk about that. Not a thing. Totally not a thing.
Right.
Not possible under any circumstance, given A, just who they are to each other, and B, their awareness that how the media responds to things. You can't be a professional athlete at that level and not be very conscious of that. So I'm starting to think maybe Puka's just a bad guy.
Dang. All right. Well,
I mean, that's what my if I have to put the pieces together, if I'm a detective on this and going, what's the most logical progression of this? That's what lines up.
you think so?
How can you say it does?
How can I say that it doesn't?
That behavior that he's accused of, that he more than likely did, is not something that.
Well, wait. So, Bubby, but the thing, are going down a dangerous path.
But I'm just saying, it's not something that a conscientious, aware, reasonable human being would really do. I mean,
All right,
he attacked him and he was defending himself, which doesn't sound like was the case.
Well,
But if you're an entitled, misogynistic shithead who thinks you are allowed to dominate and lord over other people because they're inferior to you via their sex or anything else, you might do that.
Right.
Someone who thinks that way might support a person who is known for that.
well, okay. So, I think we're going down a dangerous path by equating what Puka did with what Jaxson Dart did. That I think is a very dangerous connection to make.
I'm not equating them. I'm just saying that
Well, no, you're saying if a guy did this, then it makes sense that he would hang out with a dude who supports Trump.
Yeah.
That's a very, that is not the point I'm trying to make.
that's the point
Right.
I'm making.
All right.
So I send your letters to me.
I think that
makes
is,
sense to me. That's very rational thinking.
I think, oof, that's a whole different podcast. And I don't know if I want to go down that road right now. But look, I wish he hadn't done that.
You can't,
Right.
can't do it.
I want everybody to align with my beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. But I am not going to say that.
Wow, that sounds very egalitarian. Whatever, align with your beliefs.
Of course, I want everybody to believe in like equality and
Spot.
and diversity, and
This guy wants to be the emperor. He wants everyone to line up with his beliefs.
I want it would be a great world if everybody agreed and viewed the world the way I did.
That's what Trump says.
That would be it.
That's what every dictator says.
But I have to allow for the fact that even if I don't agree with what they're saying, they may believe it, and there may still be validity to it, even if I don't agree with it. Now, do I think that his excuse is BS? Yeah, I think that's a possibility, but I also don't have any evidence of that. I have no evidence that this kid is lying. He may truly believe what he said. He may truly believe that it doesn't matter that this guy degrades the office. I don't degrade the office. I respect the office, and therefore it wouldn't matter if it was Joe Biden or...
Well, if that's what he thinks, he is wrong and he's delusional. Because if you say, I respect the office, and you're going to stand up for the person in the office who has defiled the office beyond anyone's possible imagination, then you are taking actions that support that behavior.
I agree with you. But where I differ is only that I think it's at least possible that he believes that.
He might.
Yeah. And if he does believe that sincerely, who am I to say, well, you got to pull your head out of your ass and look at the totality of the situation. I mean, he's a 24-year-old football player, and he was probably excited that, oh my God, I've revered the office of the president my whole life, and I'm going to get an opportunity to introduce the president.
You will show your reverence for that office much more demonstrably if you were to say, I will not do that because you are not upholding the principles of which I revere.
Well, that is your opinion, and I tend to agree with you, but I don't agree that that's the only valid, only a valid opinion to hold. All right. Now, Puka, again, for those of you who don't know what happened with Puka, he had 2 incidents last year.
Yeah.
All right. 2 significant incidents. The first was that he went on this podcast of this guy who's a gamer, and this guy has a history of like promoting white nationalists and white nationalist thought, and he got Puka on the podcast to make this sign, basically, which I think most of the world didn't know what it meant, but it turns out that it's a symbol that is known to be anti-Semitic.
What do you mean he got him to do it?
Well, they were just playing around, right? He's like, "Hey, do this." Like they were trying to practice, like I think touchdown dances that he could do, right? So he got him to do the sign, and then thankfully, between him doing that podcast and his next game, someone grabbed him and said, "Don't freaking do that if you score a touchdown because it's anti-Semitic," right? So that was the first thing, and he claimed, and again, I believe him, is that he didn't know. And that he was on this podcast because he's a big gamer, right? And this guy has a big gaming podcast.
Did he come out afterwards and say, I didn't know, I was just doing a thing because the guy said do this with your fingers, and once I found out, I need to apologize to everyone because that's a horrible thing?
I know he said he didn't know, and I said that he said something about how, he didn't, he doesn't hold those beliefs, so he doesn't want to offend anyone or anything like that.
All right.
Now, I don't remember his exact words. I just know that his claim is, I had no idea and I would never do that, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Fair enough.
Second incident was that on New Year's Eve, he got blackout drunk. There's a woman who alleges that he shouted a racial slur or an ethnic slur, an anti-Semitic slur, and that he then bit her on the shoulder. That is the claim. And then he went into therapy for.
Now, was that case settled out of court, or was that case?
I think that the civil case is still pending. Like she's suing him, and I don't think that as of today, criminal charges had ever been brought.
Okay.
Right. Okay. My opinion, just my opinion, super, super sketchy that this was such a horrifying event, but there's no criminal charges and all you're doing is suing him, because that just says you're trying to get money out of this guy, which kind of feeds into what we were talking about with the last podcast, that these guys are targets.
Yep.
And it doesn't excuse what he did. If he bit her, he probably shouldn't have bit her.
He definitely shouldn't have bit her.
Well, it's a problem. If it was a playful thing, I mean, we don't, that's the thing, is that we don't even know.
Yeah, where it was a playful love nibble, sure. But if he bit her, there's no probably.
You're right. But again, we're not, it's what you said last time. We're not there. We don't know the kind.
That's why I asked you, was there a criminal case?
Right. And
there wasn't, that we know even less.
As far as I know, the possibility of there being criminal charges hasn't been completely ruled out, but criminal charges have never been.
But she's in a civil suit with him right now.
She's in a civil suit because she wants money.
Well, that's shocking, because I think you'd think by now he just would have thrown her.
Well, no, because he denies it vehemently.
Yeah, but that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Lots of people deny things and then they go, here's some money to shut up about it. But I'm still saying I didn't do it.
Right. Well, maybe that's not how he wants to handle it, because he doesn't want to be extorted for money.
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe. But
that's weird.
But that is weird. So these are the two guys who were sitting together. But the reason that this is a sort of segue into what I really want to say is that, of course, when this happened.
Is this a telethon or a podcast?
This is a podcast, trust me. Everybody jumped to conclusions, right? Everybody online was just outraged immediately that he had been, and he was immediately guilty, right? He's an anti-Semite. The fact that there's been 2 alleged incidents now proves it. Like, nobody waited to see what the facts were. And if you tried to say, wait, we don't know what all the facts are yet.
Yeah.
Let's wait to see what the facts are. People will be like, well, you're just an anti-Semite too. And it just it leads me to the question of, why do you think we do that? Why do we so often, especially online, it seems, why do we assume the worst before we know very much at all? I mean, without making any judgments at all about what either of these guys did, either Puka or Jaxson Dart, about what they allegedly did or did, it's, depending, because in Puka's case, we still don't know everything that he actually did for sure. I mean, what is it about human nature, especially online, that leads us to believe the very worst without having all the facts? I mean, has social media changed our behavior or merely our incentives?
I don't know if it's behavior or incentive. It's definitely changed the behavior. As far as the incentives, I'm not sure, but what it is now is what one might have used to talk about, in the barber shop or around the water cooler, so to speak, with 3 or 4 of your friends and or coworkers. Now you can punch it in on your keyboard or on your phone, and it gets blasted out to the webosphere. And maybe 50 people see it, maybe 50,000, maybe 50 million. You don't know. But now everyone has a voice, and very few of those voices are bothered to get really informed. They're not journalists. They don't adhere to any forum of proof or verification of anything. So anyone can literally say anything they want as if it is fact,
Right.
but it's really just their righteous belief. And unfortunately, when you see it, a lot of people, because we're so flooded with anything, you wind up in not just that tweet or soundbite or whatever, you wind up in that echo chamber, because that's how the algorithm works.
Right.
The algorithm does not work on rational, varied, considered thought.
But I think it actually,
It works on polarity.
I agree with you 100% about the algorithm. But I think that we saw evidence of this in society before the algorithms were having a face impact. Do you remember there was this very famous video, and I want to say that it was from Yale University, of this young student, African-American woman, just screaming at this professor about how he did not understand what she was going through and how he was part of the problem. And he was just standing there, right? He was just standing there very calmly and listening and saying, hey, let's just go talk about this. I hear you. I want to address your concerns. Let's go do this in a calm forum, right? And she's just lashing out at him like he's the oppressor, right? And she's totally outraged that he's not just saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're right. Everything you're saying is right. And that to me was where this started. Somehow that became okay. I mean, now, of course, throughout human history, we've gossiped, right? We've speculated, we've judged people. But as an online thing, as a mass thing, that was the first thing I remember seeing where it was like, it's okay to be outraged, and it's okay not to listen to the other person, and it's okay to blame the other person and to assume you know what they're thinking, and it's okay to assume that everything you're saying is right and everything the other person is saying is wrong, regardless of what facts you have and what facts you don't. And that was before social media really took over.
Sure.
But that whole idea, that whole mindset blew up into what has become now the echo chambers that the algorithms create and all of that. Why? Why is that okay?
I mean, well, it's not okay. I don't think it's okay. And I think you have a lot to learn from a societal standpoint. This whole America idea and democracy and our freedoms and this and that is a very new experience, relatively speaking. If you look at other civilizations throughout the ages that have come and gone, whether this one's going to work or not remains to be seen. But I think personally, my opinion is, I'll try to be as succinct as possible. I think a lot of people don't want to be bothered with critical thinking. I think a lot of people don't want to be bothered by hearing and really listening to other people's perspectives or their experiences. I think most people feel a lot of sort of impotent frustration in their life. I think people feel a lot of anger and hostility, and I don't think they're clear about what is the origin of it, whether their parents were shitty or their situation was fucked up or this, that. I think people have a lot of unprocessed emotions, and I think it's easy for people to get triggered because, you pick up that Coke and I go, what the fuck, man? And I go crazy and I have this hyper reactivity to a very minimal stimulus.
Right.
And other people then go, yeah, I feel that way too. And it becomes this avalanche of non-thinking mob mentality.
Sure.
The mob mentality has always been a thing. It is a component of the makeup of human beings.
So do you think that part of what has to happen here is that there has to be sort of a come to Jesus moment here where we realize that, back in the day, the mob mentality was maybe a couple thousand people in a town, right? But today, it could literally be 50 million people on.
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw that. I mean, I hate to go back into the political aspect of it, but when you look at what happened on January 6th, that's the epitome of it.
Right.
That is the epitome of a mob that gets stoked into a frenzy where critical thinking is not a part of the equation, and it's all being pandered to, and it's all just rhetoric and rhetoric and rhetoric. And you can get people emotionally to a state where they are no longer capable of reason and critical thinking, or where they're acting out of that lizard brain part of their body that you can't really address. But we get to with logic and reason. At that point,
Sure.
it's a runaway freight.
But we also have, at the very least, right? And I agree with you, but we at least have one thing in between us and the reaction, right? Whether it's on our phone or a laptop or whatever, you have to read the thing, and then you actually have to type it in.
Yeah.
Right. And have we gotten to the point where that amount of time, we can't even process our emotions in that amount of time? I mean, is it just that it's more emotionally satisfying to rip into someone with whatever your opinion is than to actually like look into what the facts of things are?
Unfortunately, it is, and it is a confirmation bias that people are looking for, and right, looking to get when you do that online stuff, even if your name is attached to it, which a lot of people are not, they're anonymous in their tweeting and
Sure.
texting their Instagram, and that anonymity gives people free reign to really just be as ugly and as menacing as they want to be. All their inner ugliness can just pour out,
Right.
because there aren't really the same kind of consequences.
Right.
We haven't figured out yet, even vaguely, how to, police things online.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm not
We need to figure out some guardrails, because you can't just be the things that are said and done online, you cannot do in real life
absolutely.
because it's illegal.
Well, and because you'd get punched in the face immediately.
You get punched in the face, or you'd get arrested,
Right.
or you'd get, something. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's not free speech.
Right.
But online you can.
Right.
And that's a problem. I think the technology has developed way faster than our morality has developed,
Sure.
than our sense of civic interaction has developed. And we've kind of polarized at this point so far, because people now, you're not subject to the news. You're not listening to Walter Cronkite or a news journalist who is accurately weighing out facts and reporting them because they have to verify them before they can say them. That doesn't exist anymore. You've got polarized factions now. They can literally say anything they want, and what they'll say is exactly what will keep those people fired up and tuned in. They're not going to give rational discourse because it doesn't pay. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, that's where a huge thing that it all comes down to is economics. And that's what the media has become. And we're just a giant economic machine. And that's what movies like, unfortunately,
Do you think that's what's happening on social media too, though? Because I mean, obviously,
that's
you know,
the algorithm.
listen, I mean, we could sit here and we could talk about how, like, in the late 80s, they got rid of the fairness doctrine, and that led to Fox News, and Fox News led to all the so much of the nonsense we see today, where you're right, you can't get objective news anymore for the most part.
Yeah.
But social media is a
You
different.
can, but it's very narrow window, and you have to purposely go there. And why go there when you can go listen to these guys tell you how right you are?
Right.
That's what it is.
What do you think it says about us as a society? As a society, that we're so angry that we just want to lash out. We want to take every opportunity, because it's not just about not having, I mean, obviously part of it is what is reality and what's true and what's not true, and that's an argument that we can have forever and ever and ever.
Well, we shouldn't.
And I agree with that too.
Truth is
So
truth, and facts are facts.
But that's different.
Give that up.
That's different from people just lash out.
Yeah.
Right? Is that Puka Nacua, we hear something about Puka Nacua, and we use it as an excuse to just say, this guy's an asshole and he's a misogynist and, and he's a fucking anti-Semite. And even if we have no idea if those things are true, now they all might be true. But that's the point. We don't know. But why do we as a society think it's okay to just lash out and say, yeah, fuck that guy, man?
I mean, I don't know that.
And fuck you if you don't believe what I believe.
Right. Right. I don't know that anyone knows the actual answer to that. I think there are a lot of people who posited various theories, but I think at the very least, it's safe to say that when someone is exhibiting that level of, rage and outrage and righteous indignation, it is clearly a symptom of, and this might sound real psychobabble, but that's just their own insecurity. That's their own unprocessed thoughts and feelings about whatever. Maybe they feel so fucking put upon by their boss and their job that they fucking hate that they whatever. They're just looking for anything to feel righteous and express that anger about, express that rage. Maybe they've had a somewhat similar experience before where they didn't feel justice was done. Right. They've got some unprocessed feeling of, not being heard or not being valued. And when they hear or see a thing like that, it bursts out of them before they can even really give it thought. And it's sort of it's a catharsis for them.
So it's an emotional. It's emotional.
I believe.
Yeah.
Because it clearly doesn't sound rational.
Right.
Even if something, I like to think that I'm a fairly rational person, and I think you are too. And I think there are a lot of other people that are out there like that, but we're not as loud or boisterous, so people don't hear us as much. Because when I hear the Puka Nacua thing, I go, oh, that's weird. I wonder what actually happened. Right. Maybe we could find some research. Oh, what are they talking about? Oh, sounds like maybe he did this or maybe he did that. Oh, we'll have to see how it all comes out. I don't have a personal stake in it.
Right.
But at some time, it seems that a lot of people seem to get personally invested in these situations. And I look at it because I lived it. I lived it for almost a decade with my father.
Right.
So I have a very, very, I like to say, uniquely informed insight as to how this phenomenon takes place. Okay. And I could show you people that said, Robert Blake's a fucking hero. That woman was a fucking bitch who tried to scam him and she deserved what she got. And other people are like, that fucking millionaire movie star, another piece of shit famous person using their fame and influence to get away with something.
Right.
And millions of people on both sides.
Right.
Now, clearly neither of those is the truth.
Right.
But like I said, I lived it from the inside out. So I've seen it firsthand.
Sure.
And so that's, like I said, people like to get riled up. And like you said, the consequences really are no longer there. So it's easy for them to do it. And also because it happens all like that. You make that crazy tweet, 500 people go, fuck you. No, fuck you. He's right. She's right. No, he's wrong. And then an hour later, someone else puts a crazy tweet out and then that's what they're focused on. Right. So it's just this weird fucking tornado of bullshit that I personally prefer to just kind of stay out of. That's why I'm not on Twitter or any of that shit. Because it's not, what's the point? I don't need to listen to a bunch of fucking people that I don't know and their uninformed opinions. What do I care?
Right. Okay. Actually, that's a nice segue into what will be our final question. Just going back to Puka and Jaxson being together and whatever decision was made or wasn't made for them to do this, right? The fascinating question, I think, isn't whether they were right or wrong to go there together or, whether there was any pre-thought or anything like that. It's whether, are they just choosing to live their lives rather than manage people's perceptions of them? And which leads to kind of the deeper question of like, how much of our behavior should be determined by what people on the internet think about us? And if the answer is a lot, right, then we're effectively allowing online audiences to dictate our lives, our relationships, our friendships, and our public appearances. And if the answer is not much, then we're accepting that whatever criticism we get, whether it's fair or unfair, is just part of being visible, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's especially interesting is that many people kind of simultaneously believe two things about public figures.
They believe they should be authentic, right?
They rarely are.
But they also think they should carefully avoid doing things that might upset people, right? And those goals can obviously conflict. So do we really want authenticity, right?
No.
Do you think people get on celebrities all the time for not being authentic, but do you really think they want authenticity?
People. Now, when we're talking about people, we're talking about the by and large. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking as a general rule, right? The majority.
Or for majority of people.
Or do they just want you, they live up to their
They
expectations?
want you to be authentic as long as it lines up with their beliefs.
Sure.
That's what they want. And they want to craft you in the image that suits them.
Right.
Nobody wants to really know who my father was. They want to put him in the box that suits their need in that moment. Sure. So now again, and I hate to, but there's probably like a swath of people in this country that's like the norm as far as intelligence, intellect, whatever.
Sure.
And then there's a swath that's like not even that. And then there's a small percentage above that is more highly intellectual, more highly conscientious.
Okay.
So in that middle ground, it would seem that what is being demonstrated is that people want their famous people to behave in a way that makes them comfortable. Sure. Now, should we, worry about what the internet thinks if you're a famous person? I mean, I certainly don't consider myself a famous person. I've been known at different times in my life, more or less, for different things. But I don't think you should give 2 moments thought to what the internet is going to have to say.
Okay.
I think you should live your life according to the principles and the beliefs that you hold sacred, and people will think whatever they want to think. You cannot control that. And if you live in a way that is to try to pander to any of that, I think you are starting down a slope of a very unhappy life, because you will never figure that answer out. And every time you think you've made the internet happy, you'll find the other half of the internet hates your guts.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure that if enough people were to see this today, half of them would go, Noah Blake's a hero, and half of them would go, that guy is the biggest piece of shit in the world. Right. And then 12 people would go, yeah, he's maybe one more the other. Sure. But like, that's just kind of how it works. So if you start trying to think about what's the public going to think, I mean, that is a job that exists in our world. It's called publicists and public relations. And it's an unfortunate reality, but again, it's largely a financial construct, because what they're worried about is not like, oh, your image. So they're worried about your image because your image represents dollars, sure, to the various people that you may or may not be working with. If you took out that, people would be like, who cares? Say whatever the fuck you want. Go call them the Washington animal savage creatures.
Right.
If it's not going to have a dollar effect, no one's going to care. People care because it's got monetary value. Other than the people who just conscientious and go, I don't feel comfortable being derogatory towards any people because of, you either feel that or you don't, and it's about money. Sure. And your behavior is dictated because of that. So that would be my unscientific opinion.
No, I think that's a very valid,
Thank you.
very valid point of view. And I think I'll just end by saying that I think there's some irony in the fact that even ordinary non-celebrity people are engaging in this sort of PR management online all the time, curating posts, avoiding certain associations,
And we
not popping, going outside of their bubble for fear of what people inside the bubble are going to say.
Yes.
Managing how they're perceived, that sort of thing, not expressing certain opinions.
That's how we all do it to a degree. Sure. I mean, I don't go on my Instagram and post a picture of me like, throwing up into a toilet. You want to be seen, but I wouldn't not do it if if the mood struck me. But we kind of all want to be perceived in a positive light, one way or the other. But I think the only real way to do that is to be authentic, like you were saying.
Sure.
And then when you are being your authentic self, the people who see that, feel that, will respond in kind, and the people who don't. And who cares about that? You can't worry about those people.
All right. Well, on that note, don't care about those people. This has been another episode of Upon Further Review. Please like and subscribe if you like this. And if you don't, you don't have to like and subscribe, but put a little angry comment down in the comments, guys. And I'm Kevin Jaxson. That's Noah Blake, and we'll see you next time.
We tackle football. We tackle football.